Luca Nation, what's going on?
Freaking flag. Hey now.
Little Friday afternoon, Friday evening episode. It was a really busy week, Cage, and just like picking up the vibe from some of the group chats that we have. People loved the ComC episode. People loved the CSG episode with Max. They loved our plays this week. So I hope we deliver a lot of value on today's episode as well. And hopefully you guys get a few plays. I have a topic that I want to talk about. National. Nat Turner announced as the CEO of PSA. So
you got some good topics. I mean, we can jump right into it. If I'm allowed 30 seconds before the deal, maybe we haven't even talked about it. I mean, we dropped it in groups. We have nothing. Tomorrow is our 1 year anniversary of our first episode, man. Today completes season 1 here, And tomorrow when we start, it'll be July 17th. It'll be the anniversary of episode 1. It'll be 375 episodes. We did some double duty for you there. 10 episodes, 10 different days. We did 2 episodes a day. That's the best part about the hobby. But listen, normally what happens...
Are you sure we didn't just skip 10 by accident in the numbering?
No, we did
Cade
not.
would not allow that. You would not.
Every single day we did it. And I'm telling you, I remember on weekends, we did one on like Sunday morning. And we would do like a football preview, and then we would come back Sunday night and do like a recap episode and give a pick because our Sunday morning ones weren't doing picks. So football season, we definitely did some double up episodes. And there were days where we did an episode in the morning and like something happened, a card sale or there was some drama, and we were like, let's hop on and make sure that we get to talk about it and give our view.
So, right, because we did the NFL thing too, right? We did a morning episode of the NFL.
Morning and the evening. Yep, 100%. And we did that multiple times.
We've been through a lot of things together, guys. Last August, we went through the Bubble Hero. Hero was killing it. Then September, it was the peak of NFL cards. NFL cards are booming. Then we went through a cryptocurrency craze. We went through the election together. December, January, that was all Top Shot at NFTs. Record Jordan sale at the end of January, early February. Then we went through a little bit of a market correction in the spring. And here we are. Now prices are peaking back up. There's interest. There's national. So I just wanted to kind of...
Yeah, I love it. But listen, when Andrew says we went through this together, he's not talking about me and him. And that was where I was going with this. He's talking about you guys. He's talking about everybody listening. He's talking about Luca Nation. And, we'll probably put some post up tomorrow, 1 year anniversary, 375 episodes, millions of listens, whatever the hell we got. But everybody does that. And you know what doesn't get done enough? We're going to say thank you. Andrew will say thank you. I'm saying thank you. I'm thanking you from both of us, from everybody, in Luca Nation. We want to say thanks because there is no show. There is no episode without you guys. There is no content without you guys. And I think the greatest part of it is, and I'll actually show it with my play today, a lot of what we talk about is just continuing conversations that we have in our Instagram groups. We get a vibe from it. Andrew got topics based on what people are commenting in these groups. We are really, really lucky because the daily show, we have 2 things going for us. One, this hobby, it's the gift that keeps on giving, man. It just every day there's some other conversation we have. There's some other cool thing that happens. There's some other post that happens. And 2, we have you guys. And we asked you from the beginning, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and you obviously have, and you've allowed us to grow. And we just want to thank you because we get to continue our conversations through this podcast every day, and it really is. We're very lucky to do it. So thank you guys, and thank you for allowing us to do this for a whole year.
One of my favorite mentors, Cage, is Jim Rome.
Mm-hmm.
He changed my life. He was probably my first virtual mentor, and he has a good quote. It's work harder on yourself than you do your job. And to me, this podcast kind of I have my 75 hard checklist here. 75 days. Here you guys can see it. Every single day, no compromises. It's not the hardest thing. It's not the hardest workout every day or anything like that. It's just 2 45-minute workouts. Follow your diet. Drink a gallon. Progress pick and 10 minutes of reading. But what was funny is before I did this, we did 75 hard of podcast, right?
Yep.
And that mental switch of doing something every day, and my accountability group was our audience. It was our listeners, right? So there was no day where I could just be like, I don't feel it, even though the old Andrew might have done that.
Yep.
So for me, the you guys out there that know me, I'm willing to do the grind. I struggle celebrating. So I don't even know how I'm going to celebrate, when I'm done 75 hard, or I don't know how I'm going to celebrate a year of doing this podcast. I will say though, and I hope this comes across, I'm really grateful because you guys out there have made me a better person, a better friend, a better communicator, a better leader. So thank you. I'm glad you brought that up, Cage.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have to because it's Luca Nation's 1 year anniversary. So happy anniversary to you guys, every single one of you. And yeah, with that, whatever your topics are, let's jump into it. Give these guys a fire episode.
I really hope Dame gets traded to the Sixers, man.
I don't know, man. I mean, there are some guys that I don't know if he wins a title with the Sixers. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't, right? I mean, it depends what they do there. I don't know if he wins a title with the Sixers. There are teams that I think are still better, even with the Dame on the Sixers. That makes him a great team. I get it. And he'll definitely, go far in the East. I just don't. And I wonder what it does to somebody's legacy. If he stayed in Portland and tried to make a team out of it and, made it.
He did.
I know, but if he stayed there the whole time and continued, then he
he's
becomes
like 100 years old. If he doesn't win as a player, he wins as a coach.
I get it. I guess what I'm trying to say, right, is there are people who leave for a title, and in my eyes and the eyes of a lot of people, that title is not, it's not worth as much as if he built something, where he is now. It's different. He's not going and joining a title. He's not Kevin Durant joining, Golden State. He's not Anthony Davis, partnering up with LeBron. Although LeBron hadn't won a title yet, so that's not as bad as the Durant move. If he won one in Philly, I'm sure he'd get a lot of credit for it and a lot of say. But there's something to be said about
LeBron won 3 finals before he got to the Lakers.
But not with the Lakers. Is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So he didn't come to a team that had just won the championship the year before, like Durant did. I mean, my view is I'm probably going to get a lot of people to disagree with me because it's like an antiquated view. It's an old view. It's like hey, build something with your franchise and stay there. But the truth is, if he can go get money and he's got a shot to win, Mike Trout's going to go down as one of those guys that was one of the greats of his generation. But everybody already knows, he's not winning a title. You know what I mean?
You mean Ohtani is going to go down? No. That's Ohtani's team now. Please don't make that mistake again, Cage.
He's been good for a couple of months. I can't give somebody the team who's been good for a couple of months. But yes, a lot of people. Ohtani's great, and I've been singing his praises this year. But I also told you he's going to have a shit second half. And I don't know how long he can do the circus act that he's doing. But you get the point.
Yeah, I do. You know what I actually understood more than anything? And by the way, we've been getting comments on our YouTube channel like, "Oh, I didn't expect that." Cage just took a swig of his 2-liter soda.
Yeah, I did a 20 ounce today because of those comments.
That's weird.
I did a 20 ounces.
It looks minuscule.
It's tiny. Against my big head.
You love fairy tales. This is
do.
why you love Disney World. You love the fairy tale, like the movies.
That's why I love sports too. That's why I love sports too.
That's probably why we love Jordan so much too. If you kind of look at his career, it's very much kind of a fairy tale. Like deals with some early childhood adversity, doesn't make his JV team, works super hard, makes UNC, and then wins a game, hits a game winner, makes the league, and even though he's the best player, he struggles. Finds a way over that, wins 3 titles. His dad gets murdered, has to deal with that adversity, retires, comes back, wins 3 more. We love that. Like that's a Disney movie in and of itself. So you're right. When you go from and you switch teams,
do me a favor. Okay, you have a Mount Rushmore, right? Yeah. Tell me your Mount Rushmore in hockey. Just give me one guy. Gretzky. He won with.
But he traded teams.
Yeah, but he won with his team, right? And so how about football?
This is going to sound bad. I don't even know which team Gretzky was the best on.
So I shouldn't have started with hockey. Forget hockey.
Is it Edmonton? Was he the best on Edmonton?
Yeah, he was on the Edmonton Oilers, yes. So what I want – how about football? Who's considered GOATs in football? Give me 2 GOAT quarterbacks.
Quarterback.
Emmitt Smith's a GOAT too, right? You got Emmitt Smith, right? You got Joe Montana.
Joe Montana,
Tom Brady,
Dan Marino.
Right, so Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Emmitt Smith, greats of their deal.
Johnny
Jerry
United.
Rice, they all won championships with the team that they were drafted with. Right? Montana won with the Niners, Rice won with the Niners, Emmitt won with Dallas. Tom Brady won with the Patriots. Okay, go over to baseball. Who were some of the GOATs in baseball? I mean, Mantle won with the Yankees. Babe Ruth,
Cal Ripken.
Cal Ripken. He's probably not going in there in the GOAT category. But
Cal Ripken's not a GOAT.
I mean, he's one of the better shortstops ever. He's not somebody who I'm gonna get hate on this now too. Probably, I love Cal Ripken, but he probably doesn't make what people would consider like the Mount Rushmore of like cardboard. And
can I tell you my favorite player? Actually, like if I had to pick my favorite player, and I'm not a baseball guy, it's two guys: Ben Zobrist and Big Papi, Dave Ortiz.
Well, I mean, Ortiz was drafted by the Twins, but they didn't really do much with him. And, he won with the team that he's recognized for. When Dame retires, he's going to be recognized as being a Portland Trailblazer. And he might play for a couple of years with Philly and win a championship there, but it's just one of those, it's one of those interesting things, So the point, right? The point that I'm trying to make here is, those guys who goes down as the GOATs, right? Those guys who go down as the GOATs, they're associated with the team, right? They're associated with the team, and that's kind of what happens, I mean, you don't see it, right?
I want Dame on the Sixers. I don't care what you say. We need him. We need the leadership. We need the leadership. We frankly need the leadership, and he'd be a huge upgrade. That's my play today, Cage. And I'm curious, it was like a bigger topic. Do you think right now in the hobby, if there's one thing that causes a card price to kind of pop, is it trade? Is it movement in free agency?
Well, yes, it's talk, right?
Which resets expectations, in my opinion?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You're 100% right. By the way, Edmonton Oilers, 4 championships for Gretzky. I'm throwing it out there for you. But anyway, so it's funny. It's just hockey. People don't love hockey, but I think the point you're trying to make is there are times where people become cardboard relevant for things that aren't happening right now in their game. Dame can average 40 points in the bubble every single game, and it's not going to matter because they know he's getting out, right? And people are not going to buy up his cards in the offseason for hey, Portland's going to be good, and Fernie Simmons is really looking like a stud this year, and blah. No. But if he gets traded, a couple things happen, right? The ceiling on his cards and his career has moved up, right? And you bring another fan base into the mix, right? The Portland people who were going to invest in him have already invested in him. People probably like him, maybe 10 or 20% dump him, like they dump the jersey because he's not on the team anymore. And but you have much more buying of him from the Philly guys who are like, oh, Dame's my guy now. That's why you see when someone's traded, their jersey becomes one of the top selling things. Or when someone's drafted, Trevor Lawrence's jersey is a huge seller. So yes, it becomes relevant for a reason, right? It's like the buy the rumor, sell the news kind of stuff. Yep. Yeah, there's a reason to buy Dame's cards if he gets traded. And the Sixers, come on, I mean, they're a good team. They were a good team last year without him. They'd obviously be a better team with him, and they'd be somebody to contend to, be the team coming out of the East. Obviously, Giannis would say something about that. I would try to have something to say about that. But yeah, they'd be a perennial with Dame. They'd and match him up with Embiid, right? That a perennial, top 1, 2, 3 seed in the East, 100%.
That would be my play. And I would actually check out Embiid's cards too. So there's the obvious of when someone gets traded, you want to buy that guy's players cards. But there's also the slightly less obvious of, first people are going to rush to Dame's cards wherever he goes. But then they're going to be like, wait, this also benefits Embiid, and you're going to see a bump in his cards, which also have been kind of pummeled recently. So those are my two plays of the day. Dame is slightly of a safer play because it seems like he's going to move. He's going to get moved somewhere. Is that the Warriors? Is that the Sixers? I saw a few other places, maybe like the Heat would be an interesting place for him. Dame is my 1A, and then 2A is take a look at Embiid's cards as well.
All right. I mean, Embiid's cards. Why? Because
I think he's going to go to the Sixers. That's just my 2 cents.
So you think that's the other way of looking at? That's the other way of looking at.
Yep.
Not just Dame's cards values going to go up, but because that team's going to get better, he's going to be fine there. I got a question for you, and I don't expect you to answer it, right? This happened earlier in the year also, but did you see that the Yankees game last night got postponed?
Because of COVID?
Because of COVID, right? We haven't had one of those in a while. We haven't had COVID, postponements in a while, right?
Yeah, it just depends when there's a slow media cycle.
Oh, but Aaron Judge was one of them, and he was at the All-Star game.
Dude, I don't understand this whole COVID thing. In my opinion, most people are vaxxed that want to get vaccinated, and if someone gets sick, they should just sit out.
like we do with the flu. So I don't know. I haven't read into it enough to even give a take. What direction are you bringing this up from?
This happened to the Yankees earlier in the season. 9 players tested positive who had been vaccinated already. And this time around, also several of the players that are testing positive for COVID also were vaccinated, including Urshela, who he was a day on the disabled list for COVID vaccine side effects. It's interesting because I saw a post from Darren Ravel, and he basically said like if teams don't follow the protocols, and it seems like the Yankees didn't follow like the COVID protocols here, they should just forfeit the game. Right, that we're at this stage now where teams know what they're supposed to be doing, and if they don't do it, you're throwing the whole thing like haywire. They should have to forfeit the game.
Yeah, but it's so easy to say like follow protocols, but like when we hear the word protocol out here, like we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But like we don't know their protocols. What if their protocols are like 70 pages long, and you're like, wait a second, like I can't even live my life. Like so, I think it's. I don't know what the protocols are. To me, if you get double vaccinated, that is the protocol. Like, I'm good. I don't know. You're gonna get me ranted. We're gonna get canceled.
I don't want to get canceled. No. So here I bring up the Yankees for a couple reasons. One, because my play is going to be a baseball play, right? But I bring up the Yankees because they're about to go on a Red Sox, Rays 11 times. They play those teams between now and the trade deadline on July 30th. Previously playing against those teams this year, they're 5-14. If they have a stretch like that, they're already 8 games out of first there. They have a stretch like that against these teams because they're both ahead of them. They're both ahead of the Yankees. We could wind up seeing the Yankees be sellers at the trade deadline. That's just an interesting thing. And it's not like they.
Why is it interesting, Cage? Your team sucks. Why is it interesting?
Because they're never sellers. They're never because you have to go back years for them to be sellers. We're talking about like when the Cubs won. Remember when the Cubs beat the Indians in the World Series? What are we talking about? 2000, what was that, 15, 16? Yep. I forget when it was. At that midseason, the Yankees traded both Andrew Miller and Aroldis Chapman to the Indians and the Cubs, and they wound up playing against each other in a World Series. And the Yankees built up their farm system. They got Gleyber Torres. They got Clint Frazier. They that's the last time I remember the Yankees being sellers at the trade deadline. And even then, I remember it being like, wow, this should never happen. Because the payroll is so much. They should always be competitive.
To me, they seem like they're a mismanaged team if they just keep bad talent on their team. I don't understand this whole like buyers or sellers. You know how like let's say we brought that theory into sports cards. Like,
yep.
My cards aren't doing well, so I'll be a seller. Or my cards are doing great, so I'll be a buyer. Like, shouldn't you always be buying and selling and looking to improve your roster depending on what's out there, what the market provides you? Like.
So right? So there's a cutoff in this. It's different, right? So if cards were a pass-fail, sure, but there's teams that can make the playoffs and teams that can't, and teams that will make a run at the playoffs and teams that don't. So there's basically like a bright line demarcation at that trade deadline where you have to decide at that point in time: are you going to make a run for the playoffs? Is it worth your time? Is it worth investing in it or not? And if not, then you can go ahead and clean house and become a seller and build for next year because you're giving it up until next year.
How are you building for next year by changing your whole team chemistry at the end of this season?
You're unloading talent that maybe you're not going to even have next year because it's expiring contracts. It's teams it's guys who you might not be able to re-sign, and you can build up your farm system for it. There are a lot of teams like the Tampa Bay Rays that are good now because they've done. And your point, by the way, is.
I just got a call from the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, and they want to have a word.
What?
Because they've built their system completely differently. You see, the core of that team has been
because they've been sellers for so long, and they've built up a great farm system. That's how it works. It's like Oklahoma. Yeah, you can't on one hand say that the Thunder is a shittily managed team. You say they're a greatly managed team. Why? Because they've basically been tanking. They've been sellers of a million NBA talent.
I don't think that they're a greatly managed team or poorly managed team.
We'll see.
We'll see. It's a project. Just like the Sixers. The Sixers tanked for like 3-4 years. They were the worst team in the record in the league. And I would say their project is kind of a fail because their farm system that they developed, Embiid, Simmons, Markelle Fultz, well, one guy's gone, the other guy can't shoot, and the third guy is a monster.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, I get it. I just, it's the point is, if you're a Yankee fan like myself, it would be very odd when they kind of are tearing it down and basically giving up. Because, I mean, ticket prices are so much money. People spend so much money on the Yankees and whatnot. And it's tough here even when they are average, even when they are a playoff team that fails in the playoffs. You know, you might have, you know, Cashman might be in trouble. You know, Boone might be in trouble. Anyway, so I digress, and I'll go right into the play. The Dodgers have had as much adversity in the first half as anybody. They've had injuries all over the place. Kershaw is injured. Trevor Bauer has his nonsense administrative that's going on. Bellinger.
Administrative.
Yeah, well, that's what it's called. It's administrative. He's out administratively. So, and Bellinger was injured. He had a fracture. And I mean, you just have so much. Seager has been out, right? And he's coming back now. Seager's been out since May 15th. That's your World Series MVP. And what's funny about it is, even with all that going on, they have the second best record in baseball, right? They've been just kind of like plodding along, and they got the Padres right behind them. They got the Giants right in front of them. But I have a feeling that what's going to happen is that team's going to pull away. They're going to be they are the class of the league right now. The Dodgers are, both from a pitching and an offensive perspective. And you have a chance, while everybody's looking the other way, to grab. Now remember, this is a short-term play. I don't think Bellinger's the greatest player on earth because he hasn't really been an offensive juggernaut since the first half of his 2019 MVP season.
It's when he got to Cali, he got that medical card.
And
so
Betts also.
Now he's a little bit. He's not always seeing clearly during the games.
Betts was just voted into the All-Star game by his peers, so he's an All-Star. But by his MVP second runner-up season last year, it's been a disappointing season for him. He would tell you that. He has said that a bunch of times. I'm expecting a good second half from both of those guys, as well as the Dodgers overall. I think this is another year for the Dodgers. I mean, it's tough to win back-to-back World Series. It's tough to win back-to-back championships. It's easier in baseball than it is in football. I think the Dodgers win again. I mean, I love the Padres. Like, the Padres can really push them. I think the Dodgers really are the best team. They're the best all-around team. And I think right now, if you wanted to, while no one's looking, you can scoop up a big shout to Trouble T-Roy on Bellinger. I'm more Betts. But he told me, hey, look at Bellinger. Bellinger's, like Topps Gold, for example, is selling at 20% of the price of the young stars that we all talk about now. Your Tatises and your Vlad Guerrero Juniors and the Sotos and Acuna. Acuna's come down a little bit because he's injured. But Bellinger has the best chance of any of them to win another championship. Then you got a young guy who's already won an MVP and has got 2 titles. Same thing with Betts, right? You got a guy who's got an MVP, titles, I mean, point is, no one's looking at their prices. No one's looking at their cards right now. And just like you started this off by saying there are reasons sometimes off season that make people have their cards go up. Like, Bellinger's cards have been beaten up so much that they could easily double if he wins the championship and does anything in the playoff run. Easily double. And that's not going to happen at Tatis, right? Unless they win the whole thing. It's not going to happen to Vlad Guerrero. It's definitely not happening to Acuna. So if you're looking for a place to put your money and the football stuff's already gotten too expensive for you, and you want to take a gamble and you believe, like I do, that the Dodgers are going to be the team that plays deep, televised, the best team in there, I think they're going to win again, look at some Betts cards, look at some Bellinger cards, and play the odds that this team's probably going to win another championship, and these guys are collecting hardware. And, if that happens, those cards will go up, because they've just been beaten up so badly.
So that's your prediction. The Dodgers are going to win the World Series. Well, you're really going out on the limb here, Cage.
I'm trying not to go out on a limb, right? There are times for bold predictions and there are times for smart ones. And I think if you're asking where you put your money, I wouldn't be betting on the Dodgers because it's chalk, but Bellinger's cards, Bellinger's cards, and because that's boring, right? But Bellinger's cards and bets would be an interesting way to bet on the Dodgers, bet on them coming back, bet on them having good second halves comparatively, and I don't think it takes much for them to those cards have been beaten down, especially Bellinger's cards. It's an easy doubler, even if he doesn't win the championship. If he has a nice play, his defense hasn't really gone anywhere. Nice catch again. A game with a home run in the playoffs that means something, and all of a sudden people, let me look for Bellinger cards again, and you already have them.
So what are we? This is episode 374. So content team, get ready for a clipped moment. I'm saying when the Padres meet the Dodgers in the wild card game, the Padres are going to beat them.
Okay,
they're going to beat them, and here's why. Teams like the Dodgers, they remind me of these old veteran teams that they won the World Series the previous year, and they're kind of limping through the season, hoping to turn the light switch on. And if we found anything to take the names away from these pros, because they're all professional players, just scratch out the names. And remember that there's 11 pros on one team and there's 11 pros on the other team. And momentum, confidence, that kind of stuff matters. Yep. So I'm saying the Padres beat the Dodgers when they meet them in the wild card game.
So I would agree with you. Anybody can win a one-game playoff, and I think the Padres could definitely take the Dodgers out. But the flaw in this is that the Giants are in no way going to stay number one in that division. They're just, first of all, their average age is too much. They suffered too many recent injuries. Even Buster Posey, the heart and soul of that team, just got injured. So I think it's the Giants who are going to be in that wild card. The Dodgers are going to win that division. And I think the Padres will advance and probably beat the Dodgers. But then you got the Padres against the Dodgers in a longer series. And while I think the Padres, you're probably right, have a shot of taking out the Dodgers in a wild card, winner take all, kind of like crazy. Think about that. Two of the best teams, if not the two best teams, would have to meet in a one-game wild card, like winner go home type of situation. It would be really, really cool for the drama. But I don't see me. I'm a fan of the Giants. I've been saying the Giants in the beginning are going to surprise everybody, you name it. I just don't think they have it for 162 games. I think the Dodgers pass them.
How are you doing on time? You have a few more minutes?
Sure. What do you got?
National. I want to talk to you about a quick topic. So, and this isn't going to be positive, Andrew, but I think preparation is important. When you have so many cards, I think people are going to have more slabs now than ever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thousands to 10,000 to maybe in the six figures. Should they be leaving those cards in their room? Should they be bringing them around with them? Should they be coming to National with a group? How can you be prepared? How can you be ready? How can you can't avoid disaster or things like that happening, but I just want to be prepared. So I don't know why I had this thought. You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wanted our community, our daily listeners, to start thinking about hey, things could go wrong, and how do I prepare so that I'm taken care of, my slabs are safe? Because, dude, it's not like the housekeepers are going to be like, oh, we don't know what's going on here. They know that sports cars are worth a lot of money. They're going to be cleaning people's rooms. I'm concerned. Cage, what do you think?
I mean, it's a valid point. I think you never know where a deal is going to happen, when a deal is going to happen. So, I mean, I don't plan to have, 14 suitcases worth of cards. I'm sure people are. And maybe those people who have that kind of cards, maybe they'll also have guards with them. Who the hell knows? But, I mean, I'm going to have a backpack with me.
At all times.
I don't even plan to bring, one of those jumbo cases around with me or anything like that. I'm trying to enjoy what I'm doing. I'm trying to enjoy, being at the National, meeting people, saying hi to people, you name it. I'll probably bring a cardboard gold box of ungraded. Maybe just give them out to people. Have some fun stuff to do. But that's it's a valid question. It really is, and it's definitely something I've thought about. But to me, I mean, you got a safe, right, in the room. These rooms have safes, right? If you stay in a hotel, you have a safe.
Here's what I would do, guys. Since Cage is ill prepared for this question, not a big deal. He's the positive Paul today. I'll be the negative Nancy.
What would you do?
Buy one of those tile GPS trackers, and if you're gonna leave your case, hide it in there. Let's say you leave your case in the room.
What if they open it and take the cards out and leave the tile?
It's possible, Cage. I didn't hear any better ideas from you.
Well, my idea is don't leave the shit in the room.
Ever.
Put it in a safe. I mean, listen, dude.
You're going out to dinner. You don't want to bring your whole freaking thing.
Why not? At dinner, you make a trade over the steaks. Make a trade over the shrimp cocktail. Let's go. Who's at the dinner? Are you going to be having dinner with people who don't like cards?
Luca Nation, tell me, what do you think about my tile play?
I'm with you. And more importantly, let us know what people who have been to the National before and bring oodles of cards, let us know. And we'll give some answers out because, Andrew has an idea. It's a cool one. It is what I would consider a reactive idea. Because if you do that, it's
proactive completely. I think you don't know what these words mean.
No, because what's going to happen is it only comes into play if somebody actually steals your case. And then you got to react to the theft. And you're not preventing a theft with a tile. Now the housekeeper's driving down the highway in Chicago somewhere and you have a tile, what do? You call the police? Hey, track my tile.
Well, obviously my case
is... You're gonna run down River Avenue trying to chase the housekeeper with your cards?
1,000 million trillion %.
Well, you need a videographer for that.
We have plenty of them.
Get back here.
So the cases are locked. Yeah. Most of the cases come locked. Yeah. And if you have a tile there, so the person's going to see the case. They're not going to be able to open it because they don't know the code.
I love this topic, by the way. I have you running down the block.
Let's say they take the case. You have the tile, so you can track them. You could call the police. You could track them yourself. Hey, you don't have to do anything. Lose 20,000. What do I care?
Come back with my cards. There's a tile in there. You'll never get away. I love it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna come back to you. Come back. Right. What's somebody's like?
This is clearly proactive, by the way. I don't think you understand the difference between proactive and reactive.
No, proactive would be a way to try to prevent the theft from happening.
I'm not preventing the theft. I'm going to prevent the theft as much as I can. Lock your room. Put your valuable slabs in
proactive.
Safe.
There you go. That's
okay. Well, let me say the obvious. Lock your room. Put the most valuable slabs in your in-room safe. Put the others in your case. Lock your case. But then also think about.
You scared me. I'm not bringing any cards. You scared me now.
But then also a tile, like one of those tile GPS things that links to your phone so you always know where your cards are, or they're like $20-$30. And to me, that's a good insurance policy as like a last case scenario. If you do lose your case, if you do leave your case somewhere, if someone takes your case by accident, because these all look alike.
I love this idea. I'm going to go on Amazon now and I'm going to buy a half dozen tiles. And when I get there, I'm putting a tile in Yam Wax's pocket, so I know where Yam is at all times. I'm gonna put a tile on your head. I'm gonna know where your whereabouts are. Who else should I tile? Who else should I stalk? I mean, who even knows about these things?
I'm so excited to celebrate a year with the cage. Oh, I'm so excited.
So what's funny is it's actually a very good idea. I'm giving them a hard time, but it's a very, very good idea. And I know they're not that expensive at all. I mean, people use them for like their cell phones. People use them for their keys. You know what I mean? Like you misplace your keys, it's on your phone. Boop, boop, boop. You can find out where it is. It's actually a very, very good idea. And even if I'm just bringing a backpack, you know, it might be smart to throw one of those in like the PSA return box that has like the more expensive cards in it. You know, I mean, it's definitely a very, very good and inexpensive security measure that I had not thought of. So nicely done. Sorry for giving you all the time.
You know, words of affirmation are my love language. My actual play today, I was just kidding with you guys. Lillard is not my play.
Oh, okay. What is it?
It was so the reason I made Lillard my play is because all of the news that's been going on and surrounding him and like him being traded and all that stuff. And I do think that causes a pop in his card prices. But there's another guy that I've been watching that I think he really takes. And I know you're not a huge believer in this guy, and I see why. But I also think that the separation between him and Devin Booker, they used to be neck and neck. And with this postseason success, Booker has kind of like he's now the young star of these like under 24s. But there's another guy that I think is super valuable that is his base prism isn't a super high pop. Or I would actually go silver if you can with this guy, Jason Tatum. So Jason Tatum's Prism PSA 10 is now a $340 card. Guys, this isn't one of our partners, but this is, I've talked to you about this a million times. Like if there's free marketplace to sign up, Only Alt is something that I've been playing around with. And you guys could go down and like their user interface is so simple. You just click the star of any cards that you want to watch. So like I did that yesterday with Jason Tatum Prism PSA 10s, and someone listed at $350. Today I got an alert, it's now $340. So anytime someone drops the price, you get an email notification. But to me, he's someone Jason Tatum, who's way lower pop than Zion, Morant, Luka, any of those guys, to be half the price of Luka as well, to be at the same price, if not cheaper than Zion. I'm looking at his Prism base and also looking at Al Horford, now a great on-ball screen guy who's going to be on the Celtics next year. And I think they got the Moses guy from Oklahoma too, so they're going to have two big men.
You don't mess with Moses.
I can't remember his last name.
Jesus?
Yes.
Is it Moses?
I think those
that
two
would be a great name.
Moses Jesus, yes. Moses Jesus Porter Jr. Now I'm all confused. But anyway, check out Jason Tatum's cards. I think they're underpriced compared to all the other guys in that young like 21 to 24 range. I think his are the cheapest for his have the most value for how good of a player he is and how good of a future he has.
So be a little patient with those. I like to play, but here's the thing. I've noticed in my card dealings, last time I Bleecker trading, people who are not in this that long, people who are looking to flip things, people who are on Whatnot, and we seem to be like the only people not on Whatnot. I know they they approached us too, but
we're not breakers. They've
yeah,
approached us, but we're not
even
breakers.
that, like people sell singles, people go on and do content, but my point is, I guess the folks who are selling on there know what their audience is, and their audience right now, there's a stigma to base cards. And I actually had this conversation with somebody who was buying stuff from me, and someone from Whatnot was right there, and we had a stack of cards, and it was a little too much money for them. And the first two cards they backed out were the Clay 2012 Prism base and the Lillard 2012 Prism base. And the stack got small enough where we made a deal. And their conversation unfolded like, hey, well, why are you taking those out? No, they're base cards. Yeah, but the pop on those is crazy low compared to the base cards now. I mean, it's a very different thing 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And the answer given by the folks there was, yeah, but people don't realize that. People see a base card, it's a base card. They will realize it soon enough. There's going to be some distance put in there. And you're right, the pop on Tatum is nowhere near like as low as the 2012 Prism pops are, but it's significantly lower than, say, Zion. And, so just be patient with that play.
Does silver count as base?
It's sort of lumped in the same category right now, but silver will separate itself quicker because the pop's even lower on the silvers. Listen, I love that stuff, right? It's all supply and demand, right? If the pop on that silver Tatum is low enough, that's a card people are going to look for when he starts playing well again. He drops 50. They're going towards the playoffs the next year.
I have PTSD giving $2,000 plays though. You've scared me. Like, who do you think our audience is? Because really, if I were making a play on Tatum, yep, I wouldn't buy his base for 360, 350, 340, whatever. I'd buy silver, which just ended on auction for 2,000.
Yep.
There's about 5,000 Jason Tatum's base 10s and about 4,600 9s, but there's only 700 10s in the silver. Wow. So to me, the silver is the play. I always like to give people options because some people are like, well, I can't own a silver, so.
No, it's smart. I like the play, and I think you might have some room for it to go closer to 300 during the offseason, and then I think it does become a buy. I'm just saying, people like when I don't say I love it as soon as you finish your play, and I wanted to give just some insight into the newer players right now. They're basically they're base shy because they've just seen base go down, 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 down. And this base is not the same. It's got there's enough. 5,000 of them is enough PSA 10s, but it's not 15,000.
But it cuts both ways. Like, what caused Luka's base Prism to go to 2,000 when he made that game winner? Remember that?
Yep. Yeah.
People were base shy. They were
not then,
base
not as
base
much.
Excited.
Yeah, people were going. People didn't realize how many of those were still in grading. The demand was as high for Luka at that point in time as it's ever been.
Right.
Sort of like perfect storm wise, right? And there's a lot of FOMO there. And then, he gets eliminated from the playoffs. Every day, more and more of those 10s are coming back from PSA. So now pop's going up while demand's going down, and you see what happens. That's kind of economics.
This is a great episode. Tomorrow, we're going to have a special Irving Fryer HGA type of interview episode. I didn't tell you, Cage, because we already recorded it. So people like those Saturday episodes because Saturdays typically are least listened to day. Tomorrow's also the Bucks Suns Game 5 crucial game. So it's a good episode. It's not as much about sports cards. It's way more about his life, football, how he hates his rookie card being signed, or he hates his rookie card, so he signs right over the face.
Oh, that's funny. That's a funny part of that episode.
And then Sunday we're gonna do another Coffee with Cage live. I think those are fun, and we got some really exciting stuff coming up. And back to our audience, just to wrap it, like, our audience has done so much for us that the big wigs in the hobby, they respect our opinion, they respect what they say, and they're constantly reaching out, like, and wanting to do stuff with us, partner with us. So that's really just a testament of all the people that listen, all the people that share, all the people that comment, because without them, we would just be two guys talking.
And two quick live events here. Anybody, Long Island, New York, local, Queens, anybody listen to this now, before Sunday. I believe on Sunday there is another show on Long Island in Plainview at the Holiday Inn. I've met a couple of you at that show previously. If anybody's planning on going to that, let me know. Send me a message, and maybe we'll meet up. Maybe make a trade. Maybe I'll have Ian open up a box for you because he pulls fire. And then Tuesday the 20th is another trade night at Bleecker. He's got Leighton there doing a bunch of buying, like pre-national buying. If you want to sell some of your cards and have some cash to spend at the National, they got folks there buying collections basically. I'll be there. It starts at 5 o'clock. You got an RSVP. If you're going to that, send me a message also, and make sure we catch up there, and let me know what kind of cards you want. Maybe we'll do a trade there. You're on mute.
A question just came through our group. Can you give us a 60-second answer or less?
Sure.
Would you rather have same thing? Would you rather buy one Prism PSA 10 or three Prism PSA 9s for the same price?
Okay, so I have 60 seconds. I could probably do this in less. It depends on the card. I know that's a cop-out, but I would look at the prices. And if it turns out that that the PSA 9s are $400 each and the PSA 10s $1,000, I'm going with the three PSA 9s, right? Because I take the three PSA 9s and worth $1,200 instead of $1,000. Now, if we're talking about a card where it's even and the PSA 9s are $333 each and the PSA 10 is $1,000, right? I normally would go with the 10 because I'm a snob and I like 10s and I think that they have less pop and they're either more liquid, they're more tradable, you name it. That's 30 seconds. The last 30 seconds on this is that's not the case all the time, right? You also have to look at that spread. I just gave a 3-to-1 spread, which is what I kind of look for generally on the 10s and 9s. But if for some reason that 10 is so out of whack with the 9 and the 9's been beaten down, I thought this was the case before he got injured with Kawhi's 2012 Prism going into the playoffs this year. The 10 was still pretty high, and the 9 had been beaten down like crazy, and they were at like a 5-to-1 split. And also, that 10 is a little more expensive for people to get in at. I thought the price point for the 9 was a little more attractive for the average person who might want to invest in Kawhi. It would be easier, and I thought that would make that one go up. Of course, he got injured, and the rest is history. But go ahead.
What about the Jordan? What about the Jordan card? Would you rather one Jordan PSA 10 or three Jordan PSA 9s?
So always on a high-end card like that, you want the 10. Always on like a Grail type of card, you want it the best grade you can get it in because there are, once you're talking about like high-end stuff and it's the money people who are going to be buying those cards, they want 10s and they'll pay a premium for 10s. You see that difference. It's, it's like your Chansey, right, in the Pokemon set, right? Like the 10, the multiple is like, 20x the 9. Not because there's so few 9s, it's just there are so few 10s and people need the 10 to make the set. So people will pay significantly more for a 10. Same thing with the Michael Jordan. I mean, you see the multiple. What's a 9 go for now? 20 grand, 25 grand, something like that?
I just checked comps, and this is a best offer, so it's not an auction, and it's an old label. Do you want to take a guess?
I think the 9's worth about 20 grand the last couple of times I've seen them sell. 20, 21, 22.
New label 9 sold for – these are all – it's hard to know when it's best offer accepted.
Yeah.
So I'm on 130 point. I saw 22. I saw 28, but I also saw 15.
Wow. 15 would be low. 15 would be really low. But you never know. Could be. But even that's the case. 15, 20, 28, whatever it is, the 10, there's one on PWCC that's over 300,000 now. It's one of the nice ones. But, I mean, that card's over 200 grand. I mean, look at that. That's a 10-to-1 multiple at least, no matter which, version of it you're doing. So, if you have a shot to get a 10 and all things equal, I always try to get the 10.
Luca Nation, that's another episode. Hope you guys found value. There's a lot more back and forth, so apologize any interrupting or anything like that, but I hope you enjoyed it. Have an amazing weekend, guys.